Life in Canada feels more expensive than ever. Not because Canadians have changed, but because the pressure has. Just a few years ago, a trip to the grocery store might have cost a family around $150. Today, that same cart can easily cost $200 or more. Rent for a modest one-bedroom apartment in many Canadian cities now ranges from $1,500 to well over $2,500 a month. The average home price in Canada still hovers around the $700,000 mark. Even everyday essentials like gas, insurance, utilities, internet, and cell phone plans seem to demand a little more from our wallets each year. As you may know, Canadians pay the most for internet services than any other country in the world. For a single person living independently, a modest lifestyle can easily cost between $3,000 and $4,500 every month before any luxuries. For families, the number is often much higher. And while wages have increased for many workers, the reality is that the expenses have often risen just as quickly or faster. It's no surprise that financial stress has become one of the leading causes of anxiety in Canada. Millions of Canadians report feeling worried about money. Many are living paycheck to paycheck. Others have delayed major life milestones, buying a home, taking vacations, changing careers, or starting a family, because they simply don't feel financially secure. And financial stress has a way of following us everywhere. It follows us to work, it follows us into our relationships, it follows us home at night. It follows us into the bed when we're trying to sleep. So what do? We work harder. We take on more responsibilities. We answer emails later. We multitask more. We try to squeeze more productivity into every hour because somewhere along the way, being busy became a badge of honor. The busier we are, the more successful we appear. The more exhausted we become, the more dedicated we seem. But there's a hidden cost. Burnout, stress, anxiety. That feeling that life is becoming one long checklist. And maybe the answer isn't another productivity app. Maybe it isn't a side hustle. Maybe it isn't finding a way to do even more. Maybe it's learning how to do less. Maybe it's learning how to pause. What if one of the most important things you could do for your mental health this week wasn't accomplishing something, but slowing down long enough to appreciate where you are already? What if it started with something as simple as taking yourself out for breakfast? Most of us treat rest like a reward, as if we have to earn it, as if we're only allowed to slow down after every task has been completed. But here's the problem. The list never ends. There will always be another email, another bill, another meeting, another responsibility, another problem waiting to be solved. Life doesn't suddenly become quiet and give you permission to relax. You have to create those moments yourself. And that's exactly why slowing down matters. Not because you're lazy, not because you're avoiding responsibility, not because you're human. Human beings aren't designed to operate at full speed every waking moment. We need pauses. We need moments of reflection. We need opportunities to simply exist without constantly chasing the next objective. An hour spent slowing down won't eliminate every challenge in your life, but it can completely change how you experience your day. It creates breathing room, a small pocket of peace in a world that constantly demands your attention. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself isn't more productivity, it's presence. Being fully aware of where you are, what you're doing, and what this moment feels like. There's something special about breakfast. It's the beginning of your day, before the meetings, before the deadlines, before the notifications take over. Breakfast offers something many of us rarely experience anymore: a clean slate, a fresh start, a chance to set the tone for the day ahead. Most mornings, we rush, we eat standing up, we grab food through a drive-thru, we scroll our phones while chewing, or we skip breakfast altogether. But what happens when breakfast becomes an experience instead of a task? You begin to notice things. The warmth of the coffee mug, the smell of fresh bread, the sunlight coming through the window, the conversations happening around you. The simple pleasure of nourishing yourself. These moments seem small, but they remind us that life is happening now. Not next week, not after the promotion, not after retirement, not after you've checked every item off your list. Right now. And that's easy to forget when every day feels rushed. Of all the places you could choose to slow down, cafes hold a unique kind of magic. But think about the people you see in a cafe. Some are catching up with friends, some are studying, some are reading books, some are planning their futures, and some are simply watching the world go by. That's what makes cafes different. There's no expectation, no pressure, no performance. You don't need a reason to be there. You can simply exist. The atmosphere does something remarkable. The gentle conversations, the sound of cups and plates, the smell of coffee, the warmth of the room. It's enough activity to make you feel connected without making you feel overwhelmed. For many people, cafes become temporary sanctuaries, a place where life slows down just enough to be appreciated. In a culture that constantly encourages us to do more, cafes quietly invite us to do less. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. Taking yourself out for breakfast may seem insignificant, but small rituals often have the greatest impact. When you sit alone with no agenda, something interesting happens. You become present. You start paying attention. You notice flavors, textures, sounds, details that normally disappear beneath the noise of everyday life. A solo breakfast date can also be surprisingly empowering. Many people spend years avoiding being alone in public, but learning to enjoy your own company is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Because being alone is not the same thing as being lonely. In fact, some of life's most peaceful moments happen when nobody needs anything from you. No demands, no expectations, no interruptions. Just you, your thoughts, and a good cup of coffee. You begin to realize something important. Your own company is enough. And that's a powerful realization. We spend so much of our lives waiting for the vacation, waiting for the promotion, waiting for retirement, waiting for the next chapter. But life isn't mostly made up of major milestones. It's made up of ordinary mornings, quiet Tuesdays, simple routines, small conversations, tiny moments that pass by unnoticed. If we can't find joy in these moments, we'll spend most of our lives waiting for happiness to arrive. Sometimes happiness isn't a dramatic event. Sometimes it's a warm breakfast, a perfectly made cappuccino, sunlight through the window or a patio, an hour with nowhere else to be. The little things aren't actually little. They're the majority of our lives. So if you've been moving nonstop lately, and if your days feel like one long checklist, if you're constantly focused on what's next, consider this your reminder. Slow down. Take an hour. Leave your phone in your pocket. Order the breakfast, sit by the window, and watch the world go by. Not because you've earned it, not because you've completed everything, but because life is happening right now. And sometimes the most productive thing you can do is pause long enough to enjoy it. Find joy in the small moments, because those moments become your life. If this video helped you slow down for even a few minutes today, please consider subscribing to Sit, Stay, Explore. Every week, we share stories, ideas, and adventures designed to help you enjoy your life a little bit more, one moment at a time.